My mother doesn't want you inside." Grant said it beneath the music drifting from the country club ballroom, so softly that the arriving guests never turned. Then he straightened the cufflinks I had given him and added, "She thinks you'll embarrass us." For a second I watched his face, waiting for the apology hidden behind the words. None came. Behind him, white roses framed the entrance to his sister Paige's wedding. Security had already checked the list twice. My name was missing, 21 years of marriage, and I had been erased with a clipboard. "What exactly have I done?" I asked. Grant exhaled impatiently. "Please don't make this harder. Mom wants one peaceful night." I looked past him at Celia, radiant in silver silk, welcoming guests as though she owned the world. 3 days earlier, I had transferred the final funds for her new lakefront house in Florida. She believed Grant had bought it. So did everyone else. I had allowed that lie because I thought protecting my husband's pride protected our marriage. Now I understood it had only protected his entitlement. "I hope Paige has a beautiful wedding," I said. Grant's shoulders relaxed. "Thank you for understanding." I smiled. "I do." I walked back to my car before the first tear could fall. Once inside, I called Mara Levin, the attorney who had structured my investment company, trusts, guarantees, and family loans for nearly 2 decades. "I need a complete review of every arrangement benefiting Grant's family," I said. Mara paused. "Are you acting from anger?" "No, I'm finally acting from clarity." At 8 that evening, we sat beneath the cold lights of my office conference room. Mara opened 3 binders: the Whitmore Family Manufacturing Rescue, Paige's tuition, Celia's surgery, the mountain house, luxury cars, annual distributions, wedding expenses, and the Florida property all carried my signature. Grant had accepted every thank you. I had accepted every silence. The Florida purchase required my final authorization. I withdrew it. I suspended discretionary distributions and notified lenders that my personal guarantees would end according to contract. I took nothing from anyone. I simply stopped providing what had never been theirs. The calls began before sunrise. Grant left 17 messages. Celia left 9. Paige sent 1. "What are you doing to our family?" At 10, I answered Grant. "The closing is frozen," he said. "They need your signature." "I know." "Can you fix it?" There it was. Not "are you safe?" Not "can we talk?" Just fix it. "Do you know whose money bought that house?" I asked. Silence. "My company funded it. I created the trust. I guaranteed the purchase." "That can't be true." "It is all documented." He arrived at my office 2 hours later, pale and disheveled. Mara placed the binders before him and walked him through every rescue his family had credited to him. With each page, his confidence diminished. Finally, he whispered, "Why didn't you tell me?" "I did. In 100 quiet ways. You chose the version that made you look important." His phone rang. Celia's voice burst through the speaker, demanding that I restore the money before her friends discovered the closing had failed. "You promised me that house," she said. "Grant promised it. I paid for it. You're humiliating us over hurt feelings." "No," I replied. "I'm refusing to finance people who humiliate me." I ended the call. Grant covered his face. "I failed you." "Yes." 3 weeks later, I filed for divorce. He did not contest it. At the courthouse, he apologized for confusing generosity with obligation and silence with permission. I believed his regret, but regret was not restoration. The hardest part was not losing Grant. It was admitting how often I had volunteered to become invisible. As an orphan, I had learned early that usefulness kept people close. I paid bills, solved crises, softened truths, and called it devotion. Standing alone after court, I promised myself that love would never again require proof through constant exhaustion, secrecy, or self-erasure. Without my money, his family sold the mountain house, canceled memberships, and began living on what they earned. No one became destitute. They merely lost the scenery they had mistaken for identity. Months later, Grant visited my office carrying a plain envelope. Inside was a modest check marked "First Repayment." "I'll never repay everything," he said, "but I owe the effort." I accepted it because, for once, he was choosing responsibility without applause, Celia wrote later. She admitted she had resented me because acknowledging my strength exposed her dependence. We met in a quiet cafe. She apologized without excuses. "I forgive you," I said, "but I won't return to who I was." A year after the wedding, I moved into a smaller home overlooking the water and funded scholarships for young women leaving foster care, girls who had learned, as I once had, to earn love by being useful. I taught them what it took me decades to learn. Generosity needs boundaries, love requires respect, and anyone who asks you to disappear so they can shine has never truly seen your light.